Hi everybody, welcome or welcome back. My name is Cassie. This is CassMorganKnits, a knitting podcast where I talk about recent finished objects, what I'm working on, what I'd like to be working on, and any acquisitions. Today's episode, we're gonna go over some of my 2026 goals. I've been seeing these videos around a lot recently with both folks discussing their goals of they're making goals for the year or their make nines. I kind of went back and forth on whether I wanted to do a make nine or not, but I decided against it. I actually made myself a little bingo, making bingo card. I also saw that floating around. And I really liked the idea of that. I have a little bullet journal planner that I use kind of every day, and I made a bullet journal, a bingo board in there of just, random things for this year that I'd like to do or would like to try. And so I wanted to do that for my making as well. I also bought this cute little maker project log from Summer Day Crochet, and it's nice. It has basically 2 pages for each different project, and you can kind of write down what the project is, when you start it, stop it or finish it. Is it a gift for someone? Did you make it for yourself? All these different things. Very similar to what a project page in Ravelry is. But you can kind of write it down. And I definitely am going to keep up with my Ravelry pages because I love having a digital version that I can reference. But this felt just kind of a nice way to document, I don't know, a little bit more about what I'm making. And I also plan on kind of adding little snippets or little samples of the yarn that I use for whichever projects. So yeah, anyway, towards the back, there's a few empty pages. And so I decided to make myself a little bingo board. And I've seen quite a few different versions of these going around. I think Lindsay from Knit California has one. Rachel and Renee from Table 10. I think TL Yarn Crafts had a version as well. So yeah, I wanted to make one specifically for my making and kind of keep that separate from some of my everyday goals. So yeah, I'm just kind of gonna go through a few of the goals and what some of my ideas are for them. First off, before I jump into that, I do have one finished object. This is my year-round popover by Melissa Georges, I believe is her name, her last name. I will pop that up here so you can see it. It's a bulky weight sweater, which would actually be good for today, but I didn't really feel like changing. So not wearing it today, but it's very comfy, cozy. I love kind of the speckling of the yarn throughout. I used 3 different yarns to get this bulky weight. I used 2 yarns from Woolberry Fiber Co. I used, they're both in the color Winter Chai. I held a strand of her DK and a strand of her mohair. I think it's her mohair or Surrey. I can't remember I'll put it up here. I can't remember. I know that she's allergic to one of them, and I can't remember which one that is, because whichever one she's allergic to, I don't think she stocks. Anyway, Winter Chai is the color, and then I used a strand of this farm yarn. I do not remember the name of the farm. I will put it up here. All I remember is that it was a plain, undyed, neutral skein. And it was named Luna, which I have a mini Aussie. Her name is Luna. So I was like, yeah, I need to get some yarn named after Luna, not after her, but with the same name. But yes, this was actually a whip, a long-standing whip. I think I started this probably like May of 2024. And I had picked it up here and there last year. And towards the end of 2025, I don't know why, I just kind of really got into it and wanted to really prioritize finishing it. I think because it's like knit on size 10.5 needles, so it does like knit up really quickly. It was like pretty satisfying to see the progress on that. And yeah, I think I finished it either like the last day of 2025 or like very early in 2026. Because this is not included in my everything I made for 2025 video. But yeah, this is the year-round popover. I'm sure you all will see it in a future video because I do love it. I love the colors. They're very much like my kind of palette. Yeah, and it's very, very cozy. All right, let's get into some of my bingo board tiles. So one of my tiles is to knit a colorwork sweater, which I do have a whip, my Lume sweater, which would qualify as a colorwork sweater. So, which I'm also planning to finish that sweater. I've talked about it a few times. I absolutely love it. I'll probably finish it this winter season so I can get at least a few wears out of it. But I have an idea for another colorwork sweater. I'm also working on an Afric sweater, which is a colorwork sweater. That's a pattern by Rebecca Clow. That's one that I likely won't pick up this winter season, but probably in like fall or later this year. There is a pattern by Sari Nordlund. I believe it's called like the Nightingale sweater. I will put a picture of it up here. I was just kind of perusing patterns and I saw this and I really absolutely loved it. And she used a strand of like a DK or a sport with like some spin cycle, like a color changing yarn, and it has this really pretty like motif in the yoke. And when I saw that, I loved it because it could also serve two tiles on my bingo board. Another tile I have is use a special skein. And when I saw this pattern from Sari Nordlund, I immediately thought of my very special skein of spin cycle that I have, which I don't think I've shown, but this is my giant spin cycle baby. That's very, very precious. But again, I want to not just stare at my beautiful special skeins, but I want to use them and enjoy them. So this is a skein that I actually got to dye with the Spencers 2 years ago. I went on a retreat with Farmer's Daughter Fiber out in Montana. Candace of FDF hosted the Spencers, and we got to spend an afternoon dyeing a really special skein of yarn. So we got to pick an inspo picture. My picture was an altar from Frida Kahlo's house in Mexico City. I absolutely love Frida Kahlo. I love Mexico City. So that felt like a great inspo pick to use to create my special spin cycle skein. The colors definitely came out more neon than I thought they would have. And I know now why they did, because one of the yellows that I chose, it was a neon yellow. So I think that kind of made this show up a little bit more pastel-y or a little bit more neon. Regardless, I absolutely love it. And it's obviously very special because I did it. It has a lot of memories tied to it. And I have like 1,700 yards, this yarn baby, which is so much yarn. It's just so special, and I want to try and use it in as many projects as I can. I definitely want to use it in a garment. I was initially thinking of doing another shifty, but I would basically have to use most of this, or if not all of it. And I kind of want to spread it out so that I can enjoy it in a lot of different pieces. I thought when I saw this pattern by Sari Nordland, I thought this would look really beautiful in the colorwork section of the yoke. And I was able to get this really beautiful like tealy color. There's dog hair all over this. Sorry, hopefully you can't see it too much. This beautiful tealy blue color. I've been seeing it a lot even in like ready-made stuff, and kind of been really drawn to it. I think it looks really nice on me. And I think it looks really beautiful with my special skein. So this is an acquisition. I got 4 skeins of this Barocco Lanos Light in the color Lagoon from the local yarn store. Yes, that's its name. Here in northern New Jersey. My leader was very kind and got me a gift certificate there for the holidays. So I was able to use my whole gift certificate to buy my sweater quantity for this special colorwork sweater. So that's my thought for my colorwork sweater tile, and also my use a special skein tile. Okay, a few other ones I have is teach someone to knit. That might happen this week actually. My building, I live in an apartment building, it's a pretty big building, and they host different events every single month. And one of the resident coordinators reached out to me asking if I would host a knit night. So I've done this for them before, and it just kind of like fell off when there was like transition on their side of the house. But yeah, it's something that they want to start up again. So we'll see what this version of this event looks like. I'm really hoping that it's like truly kind of like a knitting circle. I know there are a few folks in the building who do knit, but I did send a few links to some like learn to knit kits, as I'm sure there will be people who show up who do not know how to knit. So we'll see. I might be able to check off this box this week, which would be really cool. A lot of my colleagues at work have also asked me to host like a little like learn to knit session. So that might happen this year too. It might be like a little event with our like broader team that I could host. So there's lots of opportunities for me to teach someone to knit this year. Let's see, another tile I have is to take a class. The reason that interests me is also just kind of like building a little bit more community in the knitting world. I don't have like a knitting crew of friends that I like meet up with regularly. I would love to have that kind of like community, but I think a nice way to kind of potentially foster that would be through taking a class at a local yarn studio. So that's on my radar for this year as well. Stash bus project. I want to use as much from stash as I can. Yes, I will likely still buy new yarn. That is okay, but I want to use more of what I currently have than what I bring in. So I'm sure I will have lots of different stash projects throughout the year, because I'm really trying to like intentionally pick projects where I already have the yarn. I don't have a ton of like sweater quantities necessarily, so I've got a few of them, but I have lots of like a few skeins of things here and there, so I do sometimes have to buy, you know, extra extra skeins in order to make the project that I want. But I want to prioritize using what I already have when I'm choosing what I want to make next. Visit a new yarn store. I think that'll be kind of easy. As I travel this year, anytime I travel, whether it's like domestically or abroad, I always look to see if there are yarn stores. And I have a whole little special like icon or tab in my like Google special for yarn stores. So anytime I'm traveling, I will always pull that up and see what's in the area. What else do I have? I have knit a cardigan. I've knit a cardigan before, but I didn't really like the fit of it on me. So I find myself gravitating more towards cardigans, even in my wardrobe. I don't have many of them. And I think it's just like a nice layering piece. So that is on the bingo board to accomplish this year as well. I really want to knit gloves or mittens. I feel like I say this every single year and I haven't done it. And I know that it's not a big project. Like it would not take me very long to do. I just need to do it. But I want a pair, definitely of fingerless mittens. I think I would get more use out of those than like regular mittens or gloves, because when it's cold out and I'm walking Luna, like in the morning, in the afternoon, or the evening, my hands get really cold, and then I end up just like kind of walking her with my hands in my pockets. So I definitely want to make at least one pair of fingerless gloves this year. All right, I have make a pattern from a new designer. I have one in mind, only because I think the pattern came out this week. And I did buy some yarn for it, but little asterisk, I did have a gift card for this. So my team was very, very sweet and bought me a gift card to Sonder Yarn Co. for the holidays. It made me so emotional when they gave it to me. I was just not expecting it at all, and it was just very, very sweet of them to kind of like gather together and get this for me. So I bought sweater quantity for the 90s sweater by Alicia Plummer that just came out. I saw Carmen and her friend Jackie, they're based out of Toronto. I think it's called Knit a Good Yarn. Their videos are always really, really long. They're like 3 hours, like 2 hours, 3 hours. And I love a good, like, let me just sit down and like feel like I'm, in the living room with them chatting, knitting. So anyway, in one of their more recent ones, Carmen tests this pattern and I absolutely loved her version. It was like this beautiful brown, like chocolatey brown version, and it just looked so beautiful on her and just such a nice like wardrobe staple. I saw the pattern, and then I was scrolling through Instagram as you do, and Sonder Yarn Co.'s page came up. They had this reel of this beautiful, soft, cozy looking fabric, and it was My Favorite Things knitwear sweater, but it was a strand of their Luxe Sport held with a strand of their Haze, which is their Surrey alpaca. And I was like, oh, that looks beautiful and like exactly what I would want for this Alicia Plummer pattern. So I looked up the My Favorite Things pattern that was in the reel, and it had the same exact gauge as the Alicia Plummer pattern that I want to make. So I was like, okay, great. I'm gonna do that exact combo. So I got a few skeins of the Luxe Sport and a few skeins of the Haze, and that should be arriving this week. So I will show you all when it gets here. And I got it in this like creamy color. I think I got the Luxe Sport in, I think it's the flat white colorway, and I cannot remember the name of the Haze, but it's literally like the creamy color. So that's one immediate idea that I have for knitting a pattern from a new designer, because I have not knit anything from Alicia Plummer. Another tile I have is finish a project with an advent. So if you watched my previous episode, you would have seen that I have started I think it's called the Lamina wrap by Amba O'Brien. It's kind of a beautiful, like, feather lace striped wrap. I've started it with the solstice calendar from Explore Knits and Fibers. I think it was like the 2021 kit, 2022 kit. It's a few years old. So I would love to be able to finish that, check my knitted project with an advent box off, finish a languishing whip, and finally get to enjoy that really beautiful piece. So that is what I have in mind for the advent project. Let's see. Visit an international yarn store. So there is a potential London/Paris trip in the works for my mom's birthday this year. She has a big birthday coming up in April. And so if we do get to go there this year, there are plenty of stores that I have saved in my yarn store list on Google. So we'll see. I feel like an international yarn store, there's a very good chance of that happening this year. Another goal I have is to record 10 podcast episodes. Feels like an achievable goal considering this is my first year doing this. This will be, I think, my 3rd episode. So I'm well on my way, a third of the way there. Knit a sweater from a book. I have so many beautiful knitting books and like magazines, which is like another goal, is to knit a pattern from a magazine. Knit a pattern from a book, knit a pattern from a magazine. I really, my go-to is always check my Ravelry because it's easy. I'm usually like on my phone or my computer. My stash is there. I can filter, very easily. In my library, I can, filter leveraging stuff in my stash. Whereas, a book, I gotta check it out, kind of think through what's in my stash. But anyway, I just picked up these 2 books that I have where I've kind of gone through them and picked a few patterns that are of interest to me. First is this 52 Weeks of Accessories by Lina Publishing. They have a bunch in this like 52 Weeks of series. I just saw that they're releasing one, 52 Weeks of Sweaters, that's coming out this year. That looks like a beautiful book. A ton. But accessories, I love a good accessory. So some of the patterns I have saved are this cute hat. I'm gonna try and not show too many details of the pattern, but this is the Hazy Beanie by Marl Mokri, who is Knitting Ruined My Life on Instagram. She's based out of the Bay Area. I love her designs, and I was so excited when she had a pattern in this book, and that was one of the main reasons why I bought the book. And she uses 2 skeins of Birdie from Lamb & Kid, and I actually have like a really pretty gray, I think it's called like Vintage is the colorway name, that I have in mind for this pattern. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, I have another beanie, which is like a boucle beanie, Jewel by Yona Hyland. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that the correct way, but really fun, simple boucle beanie rather. I love the single color. I think I have 1 or 2 skeins of just like a plain single color boucle. A lot of the boucle I have is like speckled or variegated, but for a hat I like, for the most part, like a solid color. And I think it's like a really pretty like raspberry purpley color. So that's what I have in mind to use for that. Another Lina, another 52 weeks of book. This is 52 weeks of easy knits. And I've got a few patterns in here. So let's see, what do I have? Ooh, Give Me the Tea by Jenny Ansa, which is this really cute, like boxy tee. I think it's just used with like a single skein of mohair, something else, a cotton like linen blend. But I think that would be such a fun knit for summer or to throw over like a dress. I mean, to wear on its own. I would definitely make it a little bit longer than what it is in the picture. But if I kept it cropped, I think it would be really cute for like dresses, over or under dresses. If I did this next pattern, this would be checking off another box or another tile on my bingo board because I really want to try to knit socks this year. I have like started and stopped many times, but I really want to do it. I really want to complete one pair of socks. And this is Lemonade by Seamy Kramer. Just like a super cute, basic, color blocked sock. I know I can do it. I think I just get intimidated by the heel part, but I can read a pattern. I know how to do knit stitches. I know how to do purl stitches. I know how to increase, how to decrease, which means I can make anything. So I got to get out of my head and just do it. There's a few other patterns in here, but you get the objective here. I have a bunch of like pom-pom magazines too. I'm hoping I can get at least one or two patterns from books or a magazine because I really want to show those some love because they're really special and they're really beautiful and I have them, so might as well use them. Let's see, what else? Knit a gift. I'm sure that will happen. Especially towards Christmas, I feel like I knit at least one person in my family some sort of gift knit. Let's see, go to a new yarn festival. I would love to go to Flock Festival in Seattle. That has been on my radar for the past, 2 or 3 years that they've had it. It just seems like a really beautiful community and a really beautiful, like welcoming, inclusive festival. Seattle is also beautiful. Seattle in the summer, sounds great. So that is on my radar. I bought a ticket for Vogue Knitting Live, which is at the end of January. It's the last weekend in January. I am planning to go to that as well. I don't know if that counts as a yarn festival. It's like a yarn event, but maybe not a festival. I don't know. Do you think that counts? I think it counts, but we'll see. Okay, last little row on my bingo card is to knit in public, which honestly, I think I've done this already. I'm not like shy about knitting in public. I usually bring a project with me most places, especially if I know I'm gonna have like a little bit of downtime. But I've definitely just gone to like a coffee shop near me and sat there for like an hour and just knit on a sweater. I usually bring a project with me to work some days. There's like knit and chill group at work, which is cute. That we meet once a week. I don't get to go every single week because, work usually gets in the way. But when I can, I'll go down for a little bit and join folks for a little knitting break. So I feel like that counts as knitting in public as well. All right, next I have Knit a Tank. I really love the few summer garments that I have, and I want to make more of them because I think I do wear them quite a bit. One that comes to mind, it's not a tank necessarily, but it's a summer garment, is I did a test knit for Jenny Made, which is the Helix pullover, and I made it short sleeved, and I absolutely love it. It's in this beautiful, and I did it in Pearl Soho pure cotton in the tomato orange color. Absolutely love it. I got a little cocky, put it in the washer, it shrunk. I can still wear it. It's just like super duper cropped, which is not really my first choice in wardrobe because it was already kind of cropped. So I haven't worn it. I should try it on again just to see, but I would love to remake that. In terms of like a proper tank, I know I have a few patterns. I have the tubular tank that's also by Marl. I would love to redo that one. I test that pattern for her and I used a strand of spin cycle with a strand of mohair, which is absolutely beautiful, but obviously mohair is pretty warm. So that can be a little toasty when I wear that, even though it is a tank top. So I would love to do that again in like a solid color and maybe make the straps a little bit wider so that I could get away with wearing it for work. I have some DK yarn from Wandering Flock in their citrine color, and that's what like immediately comes to mind when I think of redoing that tank top. So maybe that will be it. If anything, I just think that like citrine color is such a fun summer color, so that might just be the yarn that I use for whatever I end up deciding. But I do have that tubular tank in mind, some sort of DK tank. Cool. All right, a few others. Work on a test knit, which I'll show you. Actually, I'll just show it to you now. This is a continuation of a project of a test knit that I started in 2025, but it counts. Yeah. This is my whip. Actually, I forgot to do this at the beginning, but this is my Ariandel from Rebecca Clow, which is coming out, I think, at the beginning of February. I have 2 sleeves, and now we're on the body. So this is my current test knit, my only test knit that I have right now. Yeah, so I think this counts. I really want to try and finish this week, so it has a couple days to block, and then I can take some pictures of it next weekend so that I have some photos ready for when it releases in February. But this is my current whip that happens to be a test knit. So I don't know, does that count? I think it counts. You guys let me know. The odds of me doing another test knit this year are very high, so I think regardless, I will get to check that tile of my bingo board off. Next one I have is finish an old whip. If you watched my previous episode where I went over every single whip that I have, which is like, I think 21, 22, there's a lot. I really want to chip away at some of those. So it just says finish one old whip, but I would like to finish more than one this year. So we'll see how many I can get through, but I think there's a few tiles in my bingo board where I can kind of combine a few and it would check that whip box plus another one off. Another podcast related goal is to reach 100 subscribers. It feels doable. Feels like a manageable, attainable goal for my first year podcasting. 100 is a lot for me. To me, that seems like a lot. I know, people have like thousands of subscribers, and that would be cool if that happened one day. But for my first year, 100 subscribers feels like a really cool goal to have. Yeah, I think those are all of them. Oh, I have try spinning here, which I don't know, may or may not happen. I kept these like mostly fiber related, but I'm taking a pottery class too, which I feel like, you know, in terms of making, that's like trying a new craft, right? Which is kind of what I'm getting at with try spinning. So maybe that counts. I don't know. I feel like I'm bending the rules for my own game a little bit, but it's my bingo board, so I get to do what I want. But yeah, that's it. I hope you can join me for a few of these knitting goals. Have you made something similar? Do you have some 2026 making goals that you'd like to share? I'd love to see what folks have in mind for the year and see if there's anything that we have in common, any common goals for our making for the year. That's all I've got for today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one.